Now the tropical update, always at 37 minutes past the hour on Weather Tracker TV.
All right, welcome back everybody. Time to re-catch you up on the tropics on this Friday, because I tell you what, we were talking about Tropical Storm Danielle earlier this morning. We can now say hello to Hurricane Danielle. This will be our first hurricane of the season. Again, fairly late in the year. This doesn't happen very often, but we now have an official hurricane. Of course, only one time in 1914 did we not have a hurricane, so it would have been pretty unprecedented. Obviously, right now, peak part of the season. We may also have an Earl as we begin to head into the weekend as well. So let's go and get you caught up on the tropics. So this could be Earl as we head into the weekend. This is an area of disturbed weather highlighted in pink. This is a likely opportunity of development. We'll talk about that. We've got an interesting wave coming off the continent of Africa. We'll also talk about that, but right there in the center of your screen, that is what's new this hour. Again, this is now Category 1. Hurricane Danielle, and so she's got winds of 75. I mean, this is a minimal 74 mile per hour. That's kind of the cutoff for a hurricane. So she's just over the hump, so to speak. So she is a hurricane, and she's drifting. Right now, she's drifting west at maybe 1 mile per hour. She's almost essentially stationary. Now, this is what we call a high latitude storm, right? This is in essentially the northern Atlantic. The tropical Atlantic, where most of the activity is much further down to the south. So her life cycle is not going to be very long, but at least over the next couple of days, official forecast here from the National Hurricane Center takes her up to right around a Category 2. And some of the data I've been looking at, I don't think it's impossible. She maybe even makes it to a Category 3 storm, which would be a major hurricane. Again, she does pose no threat to land. You see her general course there, just drifting very slowly off to the north. So from there, I want to take you back down to the south. This is not a named storm. In fact, right now, this is just an area of interest. But the way it appears is though, as we head into the holiday weekend, this most likely will become Tropical Storm Earl, with the potential to become a hurricane as well. Now, the good news is he also poses no immediate threat to land. It appears as though he's just going to curve out to sea. But over the last 24 hours, he's definitely undergone some morphing. You can see it looks much more symmetrical. We're trying to get an area of closed low pressure to develop. And again, the bottom line is he is strengthening the way it looks right now. So here's what the model does. He stays fairly well disorganized over the next 48 hours, but then as he gets north of the Lesser Antilles, north of the Caribbean Sea, well to the east of the east coast of the United States, there it goes. You can see him basically forming up into a tropical storm, most likely a hurricane as well. Now, the good news is we have this big storm trough. You see all this green out here. This is a storm trough coming off the continental United States, and that's what's pulling or pushing, if you will, again, him, what could be Earl, again, obviously not named now, but what would be Earl, again, pushing him out to sea and again, keeping him away from the continental United States. So great news, kind of in the same thinking, again, as that trough comes off, what would be Danielle to the north also kind of sucks her up and takes her off to the north as well. So basically none of those would make landfall in the United States. So just kind of the analysis there with it as well. And then looking here off the coast of Africa, an interesting wave. There's some low wind probability that this may and generate into something. Right now, the National Hurricane Center keeping the probabilities fairly low. And as I show you the model really agreeing, just simply put, not doing a whole lot. There it is right there. Again, you can see as we go forward in time into the weekend, it doesn't really do much of anything, just kind of drifts off to the north. So we'll keep our eye on that and, of course, everything else. But the bottom line is we now have our first hurricane of the season, Danielle.